Okay, see how this is working. Okay. Let's check it works. Shit, need to Okay, so just going live to give my thoughts currently on the market. I'm just gonna start doing live streams instead of doing videos. It's really hard to do videos with all this other shit going on. But I'm still looking at the market every day. And right now, obviously, this is such a great time to be trading the gold market. I mean, there's so much going on. Well, it's not a good time in the sense that it's very volatile, but it's just a fun and interesting time. I mean, there's just so much going on, and it's obviously pretty wild to see where gold has gone over the last few days. So today, just going to look at where we are right now in the market. Obviously, the market just opened, I believe. And yeah, just going to see what kind of trade opportunities and things we need to look out for later today. Okay. I think the big news, obviously, today is that Biden is going to be speaking. So this is the main fundamental event that we need to be aware about if we're going to be trading gold right now. Okay. Let me see here. I believe he is speaking at, let's check what time he's speaking at. He's actually speaking tomorrow, my time. So that will be, yeah. Oh, it's not even, the time's not even 100% assured yet. So, but he should be speaking. That's what everybody's been expecting. And obviously, this is going to have a big effect on the gold market, dollar, just everything in general, right? With the war going on right now between Russia and the Ukraine, all the narrative that's been coming from Biden right now, over the last few weeks, I mean, it's very hard to predict what he's going to say. You know, that's nearly impossible. That's why so many people struggle with fundamental analysis and just want to focus on technicals, because technicals is kind of like a lot easier to kind of comprehend. But I think at least my approach to fundamental analysis has always been just look at history, look at what has Biden done before? And the reality is that right now, over the past 2+ weeks now that we've been going through this Ukraine situation, Biden has just been fear mongering, right? I mean, I think there's no other word that you can really use apart from fear monger. He's been fear mongering, which is fine. That's just what he's been doing. And so there's no reason to expect that he's not going to fear monger more. Okay. Whether that means, talk about, you know, escalating the whole situation, bringing in troops, whatever it may be, whatever kind of narrative he's going to be pushing, um, it's definitely going to drive fear. And what I've been saying endlessly on this channel is that gold, the ultimate driver for gold is fear. Okay. And right now, this is the dominant narrative in the market. It's going to dominate over the next week or so. I think it's totally overshadowed the interest rate thing, which probably for the US government, they're saying, fuck yeah, but it's just the reality. So I think we can only expect more fear mongering and consequently for gold to push higher, right? Obviously, this is just a prediction. This is just based off what he's been saying so far in the media, and just expecting that this isn't going to change, right? So with that being said, I think what we want to look for if we want to try and trade the market right now in a market that's clearly just trending higher, right? I mean, we obviously had the huge breakout, but now if we're looking at the hour chart or even the 4-hour chart, on this kind of shorter term basis, the market's just trending higher, and just the fundamental narrative I think is just too strong for us to see a reversal right now. I just don't see how it happens. I mean, look at the massive missile that just was shot earlier today. You know, that obviously causes big spike here, I feel. Um, and I'm sure Biden's going to address it, and it's just going to lead to further upside. So I think what we want to really look for in as gold traders, this was a trade I was kind of looking at earlier, but we never got back down here. But I think what we want to look for today is just potential opportunities to take up a long position, obviously with a stop loss in mind. But yeah, just really looking at positions. At the moment, we kind of had this breakout over the 1920 range here where we were rejected multiple times, and also even back here. We kind of had a breakout, but we quickly got rejected. But it looks like the market's trying to really fight to see if we can make this range new support. So if we do see more consolidation at this range here and we don't head further down in the next couple of hours, it could be a really interesting opportunity to take a position here and then put a stop loss really tight, I think. Uh, you know, just because like you're basically you're what you're basically uh, betting on is that price is going to stabilize here. Once it's stabilized, you take the position, and then consequently price is going to go up. You don't want to really be holding that position longer if it's going to be pulling back much at all. So I would maybe just put the stop loss a bit lower than the 20 hour, which tends to be a pretty strong bounce point, as you can see here on the hour chart, when you get that bullish momentum, right? So maybe doing something like here. Let me just remove this one. Oops, sorry guys. Just remove this one. Something like this, like taking a position around here, you know, an entry price of, let's say, whatever, 1918, putting a stop. We have to see exactly where the stop would be. Maybe at 1910 or so, or 1911. Or maybe if you want to really, because 1910 also is a pretty relatively strong support range. So if you want to go 1909, right? So that's basically 9-point difference between the stop and the opening position. Wait, shit, what's going on here? Oh, sorry, I didn't change at the right place. 1909 here. And in terms of where you want to take profit, you can either just aim to go back to this relative top if you want to just play really, really, kind of short. Um, but of course, your risk to reward's not going to be very fucking good in that scenario. But you could even try and run it a little bit higher, like or even try and hold it out, depending on what Biden says, right? All the way up to around the 1955 range. So let's say you want to go even take a profit a bit earlier than that. So let's say 1930 or so, right? Oh, sorry, that was the stop level. God, 1930. Yeah. So in that case, you're basically running a risk to reward ratio of about 1.33, which lately what I've been actually doing quite a lot is a lot of 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 risk to reward trades, like kind of around that range. I know it's if you're trading, I prefer to trade longer time frames normally. But just given what's going on with how volatile it is at the moment, I think you have to pay a bit more attention to the hourly if you want to take some trades and play a little bit shorter. So I've been aiming for kind of like the 1-to-1 to 2-to-1 kind of range. I think anything around that range right now is pretty decent. Obviously, that suggests that you're going to probably have to, have more successful trades more often than not. But so long as you're being smart about your risk management, I think it's not a big deal. So anyway, that's one position that I would be potentially interested looking at, depending on, of course, how we hold here. We could even make this a little bit lower, like say take the position at 1916 or 1917 to get a little bit more of that risk to reward there. Okay. Alternatively, if we do break down a bit lower here, I'm definitely eyeing the position, getting a position open around the low end of the 1900s. Um, I think clearly we're having a higher low trend going on here. If we take the brush, we definitely have a higher low trend happening here. I find it unlikely that today, just given what's happened in the last few hours fundamentally with the big missile and all that stuff and all the calling for EU help, blah, 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 that we're going to go below this trend line again. Probably I struggle to see how we're going to get below here, right? Below the 50 hour in general. So maybe looking at the position around, the 1908, of course, you can always get that wick out, but 1908, 1907, and then trying to ride back to the relative high here or even higher with a stop loss set below the higher low point. That's a much more, I think, smart position. But of course, just given the market right now, it's very hard to determine whether we're even going to get there at this point. We really have to see what's happening with the price action over the next few hours. Okay, so let me actually just draw out that trade here with the long position. I wouldn't play short right now. That's not really my style. If you really want to scalp, definitely go for it. My girlfriend does that really, really well, so she's also selling during these times. But man, there's just a lot of risk involved with that. You have to be really attentive. You got to watch out with if you're doing that, because you can get burned really hard and put super tight stop losses on your um, short positions. So let's say, yeah, entry price, let's say of 1906, let's say. And profit level of, let's say, if we just write it back to the relative high, 1924, and put a stop maybe below the previous low, which would be, well, no, maybe around 1893, I would say. Just, you obviously want to make sure you don't get wicked out. That's really important. So something like this, you still get a 1.38 risk to reward ratio. Obviously, you need to make sure you're taking the appropriate lot size for your account as well. Obviously, that feel like that needs to be mentioned. Probably make this actually 1908. So it's gonna, okay. Yeah, so here you're taking basically almost a one-to-one, slightly favorable on the risk side, but I think, oh, we're already breaking below this, so this is already looking pretty promising. Definitely getting more interested now in looking at a long position from here. Okay, but so yeah, these are just certain position ideas that I personally have. Obviously, this is also fits my kind of risk tolerance and my style. I'm obviously not looking at the markets all the time. I'm just kind of looking for interesting positions to take on the hour and then also 4 hour and so forth, right? So last thing I would say is that bear in mind, I think if you're trying to open a position now, unless you're really scalping, you're kind of betting on the fact that Biden is going to say something that's going to fear monger the market, right? So if you're betting on that, whenever you take your position, make sure you put that stop loss because you never, never know that he could totally change his tune. He could be much more open to negotiation or whatever. I find that highly unlikely, but again, you never know. So make sure you're always playing with a stop loss. All right, guys. Anyway, I think that's all for today. I will try and do these a lot more regularly now. I'm just going on live. Don't really think about what I'm going to say. Just talk. Anybody wants to come on here, I'm going to try and do it always around market openings. So you guys can come on and ask any questions. And anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.